Howdy, folks. I'm Brian.
I'm Amber.
And here's some zombies! As you can see, this is no regular backdrop. I actually got a new backdrop so that I can project things onto the area behind me. Amber also has some, spooky makeup on.
I was Chucky earlier today.
So, pretty cool stuff. So in the spirit of Halloween, I'm going to do this moon background here for at least today. Maybe I'll change it up tomorrow. But I just kind of wanted to have a little bit of variety so that you're not staring at the sheet all the time behind me. So I'll bring back the sheet for people who really want it. So if you want the sheet backdrop in the background there, I can bring it back. I can also just take down the green screen and then have that going. Alright, our first letter is titled, Am I a jerk for refusing to give up my seat on a flight due to a person who has a guide dog and is visiting a family member in a hospital due to the fact that I have a dog allergy? I won't be going into specifics since I'd rather avoid being identified. I have severe dog allergies. I can have a varying disease of severity when it comes to my reactions when I'm exposed to dogs. In short, being in a closed environment with a dog is out of the question. Earlier today, I was boarding my flight with my friends since we were all going on vacation together. As I'm boarding, I find that one of the passengers is boarding with a golden retriever with a guide dog vest on it. I want to make it clear that I am not questioning whether this was a guide dog or not. This was also a fairly small plane since the flight would only take about an hour. As mentioned, I cannot be in a confined space with a dog. I told one of the flight attendants of my concerns since I could have potentially ended up in a hospital if I had to fly with this dog. The flight attendant informed the woman with the dog who goes into hysterics saying that she is visiting a sick family member and can't afford to miss her flight. I'm not sure how sick the family member in question was or is. The flight attendant asked if I would be willing to miss this flight and catch the next one that would be leaving in around 2 hours. I was offered a seat in first class if I was willing to do this. I said that unfortunately I won't be able to do this since I had already paid for my vacation. Due to the size of the plane, the dog would not be able to go and hold. The woman started insulting my character, saying that I was heartless for putting my vacation over her sick family member. I got on the plane and sat with my friends. As I did this, the woman in a nearby seat told me that she was informed that I am the biggest bee that she's ever met. I didn't respond since I didn't want to cause a confrontation. My friends haven't said that I'm in the wrong, but have kept making sarcastic jokes about the situation. Am I the jerk? Alright folks, what do you think? Jerk? Not the jerk?
Jerk.
Amber says jerk. I'm inclined to agree. So, the thing is that OP acts like putting their vacation on hold for 2 hours would be, well, I guess 3 technically, because they would be arriving, 3 hours late, would have basically cut their vacation short and not made it worth it. I'm not sure why that would be the case here. I don't know exactly why they are reasoning that, but it doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense to me. I would say that OP is acting a bit selfish in this situation, considering that they didn't give any kind of, they didn't warn the airline that they had a severe dog allergy before calling and scheduling their tickets and setting up those kinds of accommodations. And now also, unfortunately, this individual who has a dog, has a family emergency. And I think that a family emergency should technically come before a vacation when it comes to people and their needs. So I'm going to have to say that OP was probably in the wrong in this situation. And I do think that they were acting like a jerk. Plain and simple. But let me know what you folks think. You're the jerk. Both you and the woman paid for your spot on the flight, so you are no more entitled to your seat than she is to hers. The airline offered you a perfectly reasonable accommodation for the 2-hour delay. Assuming that the woman is sincere, her need to be on the flight was greater than yours. When you have an allergy of severity, you should be informing the airline. It would have been easy to be nice and cost you almost nothing. I couldn't imagine if OP had a deathly peanut allergy and didn't inform the airline in advance, and then, when they went around to serve, they decided to inform them that nobody can have their peanut packs or a prepared meal with peanuts because of their allergy. When the whole situation could have been avoided if they informed the flight in advance. Our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Telling My Nephew that his deceased mother was my ex-wife? This is a family conflict that came up recently. I'm a 46-year-old male, and I used to work in the military, so I was away from home most of the time. When my then only son was 3 years old, I discovered by accident that he wasn't mine. He was my older brother's. It was the most devastating time in my life aside from what I was dealing with. My ex-wife and I ended up divorcing, and I cut contact with my brother for years. I was done with him after my ex-wife, who married the same year of divorce, suddenly died. My parents thought my ex's death was supposed to make everyone okay, as they claimed that she was the one who drove a wedge between me and my brother, but I kept my distance. Oh yeah, that was the problem. Totally the problem. My nephew started reaching out to me, and we began seeing each other more often when he was around 15. He has always been told that the fight between me and my brother was about business. My parents threatened to disown me if I told my nephew that his mother was my ex and that I should leave it alone, which I did, since they said that if they had to choose, they would pick their nephew and grandson. My nephew tried to get me to meet my brother so we could talk, since my brother welcomed the idea, but I refused. I made it clear to him that he needed to stop forcing a reunion, and he respected my wishes. He is now 21 and he's getting married in November. He sent me an invitation, which I declined and returned right away. He called and asked why, and I said I'm in no contact with his dad, so I won't come since he will be there. My nephew refused to accept this, and he came over and started criticizing me, saying that I'm being unnecessarily bitter and resentful towards his apologetic dad over some business, and said he cannot believe how much hate and grudge I have kept up inside against his dad. He said either I try to work things out with his dad or he will not be seeing me again. I felt hesitant first, but then I told him that his dad and I don't have a usual beef, and that his mother was my ex-wife, who his dad messed around with while I was in the military. My nephew denied it, saying that his dad and grandparents never told him that. He thought I was lying until I showed him enough proof to get him to change his tone. He left in a hurry and was enraged. I later found out via my parents that my nephew canceled all of my family's wedding invitations, put the wedding on hold, and disappeared after he had a huge argument with them, and disowned his dad. My father has gotten very sick after the incident, and my entire family kept harassing me, saying that I ruined everyone's life with what I did because of my hate and resentment towards my brother. They said they warned me to not talk, and now I should deal with the consequences of alienating their grandson/nephew from them. All right. Well, that was a bit of a messy story. What do you folks think? Jerk, not the jerk.
Not the jerk.
You know, I don't know what the thing is this. They built their house on a pile of sand here. They built their deck of cards, house of cards, and it's come crumbling down. Now, this was not OP's fault. I mean, the nephew gave the OP an ultimatum, and OP came out with the truth. What I want to know is, I'm actually kind of contemplating this as I was reading this. The nephew was 3 years old when the father and mom divorced. So he must surely have like a memory of like OP at some point in time in his childhood. So that's really confounding for me, because it seems like, oh, if he was 3, like, I mean, I have some memories from when I was 3, and I'm pretty sure that maybe I wouldn't remember like some of the specifics, but I might be like, well, why was OP around a lot when I was a kid? I don't know. And I think that that must have been really kind of hard on a kid, because they're going to have considered that person as their father for that whole time. That's the person who they were going to like recognize as like dada, right? I mean, this wasn't like an infant. This was like a 3-year-old kid who at some point in time called OP their dad. So that must have been like a weird situation. How did they explain that away? Like, did the kid just like eventually like forget about that, or I don't know. So weird to me. But that's aside from the point here. I don't think OP is the jerk in this situation. I think that the family built a lie around something that was easy to unravel, and it may have come out eventually on its own anyways, if like the nephew had seen pictures of OP and his mom together in a wedding photo or something like that. I mean, there's just evidence around, or if they had somehow stumbled upon the wedding announcement, if they had made one, and it would have just been like, wow, what happened here. So I think that this probably was bound to be discovered anyways, and they did it in the worst possible way possible. They should have just admitted it from the very beginning when the kid was young, but now they're trying to blame this on OP, and I think that's squarely unfair. So yeah, anyhow, take care and good luck. Not the jerk. Yikes, this whole thing is a mess. But they should have told him. He is not a kid anymore and is old enough to handle this information. Not the jerk. They lied to him for years. He isn't even a kid anymore. Well, 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 if it isn't the consequences of their own actions. Alright, our next letter is titled, Am I the jerk for asking my sister and brother-in-law to pay to clean the urine out of my truck? I'm a 24-year-old male and I have a truck, and therefore I'm everyone's first contact if they need to move anything. I typically have reasons to get out of it, but this time my sister, a 27-year-old female, needed help moving. She and her husband have my nephew too and are expecting twins next month. So they bought a house about an hour away from their apartment, and they're trying to get settled before the babies are born. I had plans, but pushed them back so I could help them make the 2 trips to the new house. My sister was packing things in the apartment and came with us on the second trip to the house. About 20 minutes away from the new house, my sister said that we needed to pull over so she could use the bathroom. I let her know that we were close, so she should hold it for a little longer. Her husband demanded that I pull into the nearest gas station, but we were about to pass it anyways, so again, I said that she could hold it for a bit. Well, she released a full bladder of pee all over the back of my truck. She couldn't get it all cleaned out when we got to the house, so I told her that I'd want them to cover the rest of the cleanup. My brother-in-law lost it on me and said that they wouldn't pay anything for it, since I wouldn't pull over. My sister is a grown woman that I've known for my whole life. She can hold it for 15 minutes, being pregnant with twins. That's right, OP, you who've never been pregnant sure do know how all that anatomy works. Such brilliant smarts. Am I the jerk for expecting an adult to be responsible for their own pee? Edit, I just called and apologized. I'm paying for it. Edit 2, I sent her the link to the post so she could enjoy my downfall. She's happier now. Alright, so it sounds like this one has at least had like some resolution to it. I'm glad OP in the end realized that what they did here was completely uncalled for, and so I'm actually really glad that they've changed tunes so quickly. So yeah, yeah. You're the jerk. You're the jerk. You're the jerk. You're the jerk. Any grown adult knows that a pregnant woman, especially an 8 months pregnant with twins, absolutely needs to use the bathroom when they say they need to. Wow, I'm absolutely shocked at your idiocy and disregard for your sister. And for the record, I'm usually really understanding on these Am I the Jerk posts, but you have actually gotten me worked up over here. Kudos. Alright, our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for reminding my husband that he's unemployed? My husband, a 52-year-old male, was laid off from his job/dream career of 25 years just before COVID hit. He has mostly been unemployed since January 2020 after having always been the breadwinner. We tried to start a new company in the same industry, but due to circumstances beyond our control, it did not work out. He's applied everywhere, all over the country for similar positions, no calls back, just not happening. Finally, he got hired for a very part-time, 8 hours a week, working remotely at home in his field. He spends the rest of the time at home while our kids are in school, either napping or playing on his phone. He does some work around the house occasionally, but leaves a lot to me, where I work 2 jobs 7 days a week on top of parenting and cleaning and trying to have some free time left over. For example, he tells me how he would always do the laundry if I didn't, so as I'm sitting at job 1, thinking about the 6 loads that I need to do over this weekend, I asked him if he could jump on folding some of it, and he gave me the excuse of, well, they're already wrinkled, and did nothing. Finally, he got hired for a minimum wage on Friday nights 4 hours and Sunday mornings 6 hours, and it's somewhere he visits frequently, so it's not a huge deal to put the time in there since he's there already. After his first shift, he quit, comes home and tells me that the hours are terrible, he's bored, and that he wants his weekend so he can have free time. I reminded him that every day is like a weekend to him since he isn't working, and he still has plenty of free time. I admit though I didn't say anything spiteful. In truth, I'm salty at this point and he's just refusing to work. We literally can't pay our bills, while I'm busting my butt and still come home to dirty house because of how he spends his free time every day. He's now refusing to talk to me after telling me I have an ego because I work more. So Reddit, am I the jerk? So Reddit. So YouTube. Is OP the jerk?
No, not the jerk.
No, not the jerk. I feel really bad for OP in this situation. I can't imagine being in this situation where you are watching the ship slowly sink. And meanwhile, your husband has taken the one life raft and is slowly boring holes into it and just being like, well, I mean, the water would have gotten in the ship anyways. It's like, look, I feel bad for her husband. He had his dream job. He was working in that field for like 25 years, and now he doesn't have his dream job anymore. Too bad, so sad, grow up. You know, there is a time when you can pick and choose jobs, and that time is when you're already employed. OP's husband does not have to stay in a terrible job forever. They need to pay the bills, they need to help pay the bills, and they need to get their act together and actually do some chores around the house. It's not fair for OP to be juggling all this stuff. So my strategy for OP's husband would be to get a job, even if they hate it, even if the job hours are terrible, and start applying to other jobs immediately if they can. And that way, maybe they can find that dream job again. And it sounds like they may be in a slump. Maybe they need to go to therapy. I know that they probably can't afford therapy, but that might be a good idea. It sounds like he's depressed. But this is, not a good situation, and he's dragging down the household, and it sounds like he's not going to do anything to save the ship at this point in time. So I feel bad for OP here. Anyhow, take care and good luck. Not the jerk, however your husband is, not because he's not working, but because he refuses to pull his weight at home and leaves the lion's share of the housework to you. OP states that they can't pay all their bills, so him refusing to work, definitely being a huge jerk. They need an income. Not the jerk, although he may be feeling depressed because of the loss of his dream job. It may be difficult to hold a job after 25 years of doing something that you really enjoy. He definitely needs to help out and get a job because you just can't ignore bills. But maybe you folks could talk about how that loss is affecting him and give him some more encouragement. Your frustration and anger is 100% valid and understood. You are an extremely hardworking person, OP. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider giving me a like. And if you didn't, consider giving me a dislike. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.